They're football coaches.
Phil Muschamp. Phil Munchak is a writer for the New York Post.
Okay, much like Greg Little doesn't play anymore. How many times have I messed that up? The fact is,
Randy, I don't just correct you. I correct everybody.
No, that's okay. That's what we do. So, so the fact is, I don't think Babers, even going 1-10, has a problem staying for at least one more year. I think half the team opting out is a problem for any coach that you would have. And if they had laid down and lost 45-0 against Notre Dame, I think you could have made a case that he would have been fired. It would have been a very weak case, but still a case, because then the team would give it up. Syracuse outplayed Notre Dame for the first half of the game. So, wow, we now have banners.
I don't care about Notre Dame until they play Clemson in the ACC title game. I don't care about Syracuse at all. So,
well, let's talk about that. That's this week, the ACC title game between Clemson and Notre Dame, and my new favorite quarterback, Trevor Lawrence.
Oh, Trevor Lawrence. Okay. I had to think about that for a second.
Future New York Jet quarterback?
I called Sean 10 seconds after the touchdown pass to Henry Ruggs.
No. You called me. No. You texted me 30 seconds before that after the Jets scored, and you said they lost the game. They lost Trevor Lawrence. And I was like, all right. And then I start watching, and then I really start watching the game because I had it in the background. And I have never jumped for joy so much over losing a game in my entire life.
It was funny. I had put him on speaker because he's so loud I couldn't not. And my wife and we have one family that we don't social distance with. Everyone else we do. And they were over watching, and the husband Adam and myself were watching the games. And Carly can hear Sean screaming. She's like, did the Jets win? I'm like, no, they lost. But he's a Jets fan. I don't understand. And I said, well, it's very simple. They're now going to go 0-16 on possibly the stupidest defensive play in recent memory.
Well, number one, I did predict that Greg Williams would get fired the next day.
Way to go, man. That was a real stretch.
Okay, so that's number one. Number two, from what I've read in the research between ESPN and Athletic, they played a cover zero for that play, which means an all-out blitz. Like when you play Madden and you send everybody at the quarterback and leave the corners on an island, that's a cover zero. It was the first time with a lead in 15 years that a team in the last minute threw a cover zero at anybody. The very, very first time. So, yeah, Greg Williams will be hard-pressed to find a job. I think he's done. I think this may be the end.
Let's be honest. It was hard-pressed for him to find a job coming into this year.
Agreed. Well, with the bounty and everything.
He never recovered from – right. He had Bountygate. And then this was now, look, nobody thought the team was going to be this bad. But this was not a team that had Super Bowl aspirations this year. This team barely had playoff aspirations this year. And the idea that they have not been competitive in almost any – have they been competitive in more than 3 games? And I'm not asking this facetiously. In more than 3 or 4 games this year?
No. They up until 2 games ago, they had yet to cover a spread. So no.
Can I give my reaction to the end of that Jet game? I was sitting here with my future father-in-law, and we're sitting there watching, and I'm like, wow, the Jets are going to get their first win. He said to me, the Jets are going to get their first win. I said, the game is not over yet. And when they lost, they didn't score on the 4th down. Or they didn't get a first down on that 4th down play. They're saying, oh, my God, it's going to happen. Then as soon as I said they were going to get the ball with about 35 seconds left. When they scored that touchdown, I said, this is why Jets fans are usually heavy alcoholics. Around this point in time.
It took Sean longer than most, but he's gotten there.
Yeah. So, Randy, this reminds me of a story about 4 years ago. My brother and I were I've told this story on our previous platform, Blog Talk.
One of our 600 previous shows.
Yeah,
It's hard to keep. Which show was that?
Year 4, I don't know. But my brother and I are sitting at Giants Stadium for a Jets game. The Jets are up 11 with 2 minutes to go, and they're playing the Chiefs and have the ball. And we're in the rafters, like way up top. And there's probably a 10-year-old girl with her father behind us. And that 10-year-old girl is bitching the entire time, going, "Daddy, I'm cold. Daddy, I'm cold. Daddy, I want to go home." So with 2 minutes left, she says, "Daddy, there's 2 minutes to go. They have the ball. They're up 11. Can we finally go? They're going to win the game." To which my younger brother and I, both Jets fans, without looking at each other, turn around at this girl and say, "You haven't been a Jets fan long enough. If it's going to happen to a team, it's going to be ours." And that's exactly what happened. Who else?
What was so mind-boggling was the play before. Was it whether it was a cover 1 or cover 2? I don't know which.
Yeah, the Nelson Aguilar play.
Aguilar beat the coverage, and Carr just overthrew him by 2 steps, a step and a half.
Yeah.
And that was agonizing.
Well, if Henry Ruggs is on that route, that ball's caught. If it's Ruggs instead of Aguilar,
that's the fastest guy in the NFL.
Right.
But the idea that, they beat 2 of our guys, let's have nobody back. It was like watching a Steve Grogan pass from Super Tecmo Bowl. If you remember, he was the worst rated quarterback, but the balls were so high that everyone had time to run under it. And that was what the Ruggs play was.
Right, exactly.
Ruggs runs a 4.2. He beat a guy, an undrafted rookie, who runs a 4.6. All he had to do was head the ball in the air and have it high enough for Ruggs to run under. Somehow the Raiders picked up 8 guys on this, which is absurd.
And the thing is, Seth, he didn't have to run that fast. He had to slow down to get the ball. So there was either going to be a pass interference call based on the cornerback running into Henry Ruggs, or Ruggs was going to catch the ball. It was that simple. And when the play started, I think Ian Eagle was on the call. He said, "How high can Carr throw that ball?" And that's what he did. He just threw it up there and said, "Go get it." And look, more power to the Raiders. They're back in the playoff hunt. I mean, they are legitimately in the – and Seth, from past years what I have said about the NFL. The NFL is a better place when the Raiders and the Cowboys are in the playoffs. It just is.
Yeah. Now, are they a better place if the Giants or the Redskins are in the playoffs?
No. And actually, the Redskins in the playoffs makes it a worse place because it sheds more light on the fact that Washington doesn't have a team name.
Base.
And the reason why.
Because half of them have left due to Snyder.
Right, but I think more about the team name, right? It sheds that bad light on the team name in the fact that if they are in the playoffs, it's just another game that they get to play. But kudos to Alex Smith. My Lord, this guy.
Yeah,
I'm not.
You realize if he started the whole season, that team would probably be up 2 games in the division right now, right?
Agreed, and he might not have an ankle left. But yeah, I mean,
what's an ankle?
Well, he already lost his tibia, so why not lose an ankle too? I mean,
there you go.
Yesterday they had nobody else. I mean, if he goes out, I don't know it's not Haskins. I don't know who the backup quarterback is for that team anymore.
Not Kyle Allen?
I thought Kyle Allen was out for the year. That's why Smith is starting.
And it has to be Haskins. Who else could it be?
Well, that's why they created Wikipedia.
Yeah.
But I don't know how to look up the Washington football team.
I think you can figure it out, man. You're not my father. You're somewhat internet savvy. I'll look it up as well.
Oh, by the way, they are www.washingtonfootball.com. Okay.
I'm just going to ESPN and pull up the roster.
No, that's what I'm doing. I'm trying to find a QB on the roster. Dwayne Haskins, Alex Smith, Kyle Allen is on the injured reserve. So, yeah. It's Haskins, I guess.
Haskins their backup. Yeah, It was nice that the Giants had the most impressive victory of the season for exactly 24 hours.
No, they had the most impressive victory of the season, period.
You thought the Giants' win was more impressive than because Colt McCoy was queuing and not Daniel Jones.
No, I thought it was more impressive because they ran the ball through the Seattle.
They dominated that game.
Yeah.
They outplayed Seattle in Seattle with a backup quarterback.
And a backup running back.
Yeah, and a backup running back. And I was talking with someone, I was trying to think of a more improbably impressive victory that the Giants have had. And I mean, they've only really had one good year since the second Super Bowl against New England, and that was the OBJ year. There was talent on the team. I don't remember the specific. This team plays with chutzpah. They play with guts. The only game they were really dominated in was San Francisco in Game 3. Mm-hmm. They've won 5 of 7 in the 2 games they've lost. I think they lost by a combination. I think they lost by a total of 4 points. They're the kind of team. If they make the playoffs or they don't make the playoffs, I don't think anyone is ecstatic. They would probably play Tampa if they win the NFC East. Do you think Tampa is that excited to play this team again? I don't think anyone is. I think Tampa's more talented. I think Tampa would win. But I think they've become a very uncomfortable team to play against and will be for the rest of the year.
I think a lot of it depends on who the quarterback is. Because I don't believe in Colt McCoy long term.
Jones will be back. They think Jones is going to be back next week.
No, I'm saying, right? So it depends who the quarterback is. So if they go into the playoffs and Jones gets hurt again, I don't think anybody worries about this team. I really don't. I understand they beat Seattle in Seattle.
Yeah, no, they're not going anywhere with Colt McCoy.
I don't think they're worried about him. If they play with Daniel Jones and they played in Tampa, I think
they'd be home. They'd have the home game.
Yeah. I think, okay, so if they're home, I think the spread is Tampa by 2.
I think it's a little bit more than that. I think you'd have Tampa by 4 to 5. Again, depending what the last 4 games are. And they go 6-10 versus, I mean, I don't know how much better they can go. I mean, their division is just, I mean, their last 4 games are rough. But they're playing Arizona, who's Kyler Murray's been hurt. I think they played Baltimore. Baltimore hasn't been great. By the way, come on, Baltimore defense. Let's stop Zeke tonight as we go for our first round bye.
And Kyler Van Esch. Kyle Van.
No, it's Leighton. I thought it was Leighton Esch.
Leighton Van Esch. Yeah, Leighton Van Esch. Kyle Van Bosch.
As any of you who have watched us listened to us over the last 8 years, we run our ESPN fantasy football team. We've won the title. I had to tell that story again. It still pains me. The Jay Cutler.
Jay Cutler.
I think we've won it twice. We've lost in the finals 3 times. I don't think we've ever missed the playoffs other than the first year.
I think I'm getting Seth a cameo from Jay Cutler for his birthday. I think that would be fantastic. Actually,
that's cold, man. It'd be funny.
Or I could get you Jimmy Clausen.
That would just be sad.
So to recap the story very quickly, Seth and I do not spend a lot. So it's an auction league. We do not spend a lot on quarterbacks. We generally spend at most $20 on any quarterback. This year, I think we spent $22 on Rodgers. We don't spend a lot on quarterbacks, and we generally get 4 because it's a 2-quarterback league and there are injuries. And every year we're good. We're solid. Until last year we were not because Eli was benched. Like the guys that we thought
last year we just got annihilated.
And then so in our second year, we had Jay Cutler, and we had a couple of guys that got hurt. So we were playing Jay Cutler and some other quarterback that was a good quarterback.
I think it was McCown.
Okay, but it was a decent quarterback. It was a guy that was playing.
Yes.
Right? It was a guy that was playing.
It was the best team we've ever had. We were favored by about 40.
So we generally take guys that are not great, but will definitely start. Like we love Matt Stafford. We love Ben Roethlisberger. Like guys that are going to start for 16 games until they get hurt. One of those guys we thought was Jay Cutler. So we have Jay Cutler and Cade McCown for the last game of the season. And And Chicago, I believe, was coached by Lovie Smith still at this time. Lovie Smith decides we're going to bench Jay Cutler. Now, the one thing about a 2-quarterback league when you have 14 teams in the league is that quarterbacks are at a premium. So you're only going to be able to get generally to bid on the replacement for that quarterback that just got benched. And that's only if you're lucky to get him. So we bid $58 of our $200 on Jimmy Clausen. Now, for those that do not know who Jimmy Clausen is,
there's a reason for that.
He follows the great lineage of quarterbacks at Notre Dame, following Ron Paulus, and guys that should have won a Heisman but never did. And Jimmy Clausen cost us the game because he put up a -1. Do you understand how hard it is to score -1 when you are a quarterback?
Hold on. I'm trying to go back.
Can we see the history of that?
Yeah. Here it is.
Anyway,
2014.
So a -1, which means you get negative points for interceptions and fumbles. You have positive yards for every 25 yards thrown. A touchdown is 6, and rushing yards are 10. He scored a -1, which means he didn't even throw for 75 yards in the final game. There's no way he did.
I think it's even worse than that. I'm actually bringing up the title game. So we had 300 points more than anyone else in the league.
Yeah, we
won the title 2 or 3 times since then.
Hold on, but we should say why we had that. And for the first 5 years of our illustrious career in this league, we played on the backs of Ben Roethlisberger. We played the Pittsburgh offense. We had Ben Roethlisberger, Antonio Brown, and Le'Veon Bell. And there were no better 3Bs than those guys. We know
no one cares about this, but it's still painful yet funny for us to bring up.
Especially as you're going into the playoffs this week, because we are going into the playoffs.
Here it is. We lost 164-56.
56?
No, 164-158. Excuse me.
Oh, okay. So we lost by 6.
And we had Josh McCown and Case Keenum.
Oh, Josh McCown, not Cade McCown. Okay.
Case McCown. We actually picked. I can't even see because they can't show the points anymore. But if I remember correctly, he had Eli and Mark Sanchez.
Yeah.
And Mark Sanchez had the greatest game of his career. We got outscored 85-2 by the quarterbacks, and we lost by 6.
Yep. So anyway, we're going into next week, and if Kyle Van Esch has 10 points, Leighton Van Esch. Leighton Van Esch has 8 to 10 points, and Zeke has less than 20. We win. We get our first round bye. So that's what we're looking for tonight. On top of that, we have Syracuse basketball at 8:30. On top of that, they play Rutgers, who's 21st in the nation, dude.
Yes, they are.
When's the last time Rutgers was a ranked team in basketball? I don't remember.
Last year.
Okay. Before last.
I think they hit number 25 last year.
Okay, so before last year.
20 years.
What?
I think 20 years.
Yeah, 25 years. So college basketball is definitely in session. But more importantly, we still need to talk a little bit about college football, in that today it was announced that Ohio State and Michigan was canceled. So Ohio State, it was canceled because of COVID, which many games have been canceled this year. Seth, really? Ohio State, what, really that a lot of games, or really that Ohio State and Michigan were canceled? Which
really
one?
That a lot of games were canceled. Michigan has 45 people that are eliminated from the game. Now, to be fair, if you've watched any of Michigan this year, I'm not sure that's a bad thing, but it doesn't really prepare you for the Ohio State offense led by Justin Fields.
So is Ohio State done? They don't have any more games. This was it, right? They can't play it.
In 2020, last year, Rutgers basketball ranked in the top 25 for the first time since 1979.
Yeah, 32 years. 30 years. No, 40 years.
How to count. Holy crap. How
40.
old are you?
44.
When were you born?
2 days after you.
And yet I can count 1979 to 2020, not 30 years, because I would have a lot more hair, a lot less weight, and a little less on this.
Dude, I knew you at 30. You didn't have a lot more hair.
That's true. It was a lot more brown than gray. Let's put it that way.
You have a lot more hair. Okay,
No,
so
Jake brought this up. Carly was talking to him, and he said, "Hey," he goes, mommy has brown hair, and daddy has brown and gray hair." I turned to him, I go, "I didn't have gray hair before you." That was funny. Carly,
wait, so it's Ohio State done? That's it, right?
No, here's what's going to happen. I think they're going to figure out a game for Ohio State to play.
Right, but they're 4-0, right? Not 5-0?
They're 5. I believe they're 5-0.
Okay.
And what's going to happen is this. They cannot play in the Big Ten championship game. But I don't think they're precluded from playing in the college football playoff. Now, that whether a 4-0 or a 5-0 Ohio State team should be in is a whole other different discussion. But, I mean, can you imagine in a year like this where everything has gone to hell in a handbasket? Can you imagine Coastal Carolina at 11-0 or Cincinnati at 11-0 getting in over Ohio State?
So according to ESPN, if Purdue, which canceled practice Tuesday, had to cancel against Indiana, the Big Ten could move around games or have Indiana and Ohio State play again. If the conferences were not to alter their rules and Ohio State were not to play Saturday, Indiana would be the Eastern Division's representative in the conference.
Exactly. But remember, just because you win the Big Ten championship does not mean you're going to the college football playoff. Ohio State already beat Indiana. Right. There's also a chance they play Maryland. Like this is all up in the air. So,
right, but there is a 6-game minimum to play in any bowl game. So they can't go to the bowl championship without 6 games or a change in the rules. One of the two. And a change in the rules definitely could happen. I mean, look.
Yeah, the question is
starting at second base in Major League Baseball every extra inning this year. I mean, we had double headers ending after 7 innings.
Yes.
Change.
The question is, do you really want it to? Do you want a team that's 4-0 or 5-0 to play in a national title tournament? Now, maybe you expand the tournament. But I feel pretty bad for some of these teams that are 10-0. Now, again, in normal years, you're not going to have the group of 5 team make it anyway. But I'm not sure it's fair for a team that's 5-0, even if they probably would have gone undefeated.
Okay, so but there's 2 things here. First of all, is it fair? Look, this is out of Ohio State's hands, right? I mean, right? So that's number 1. Number 2, I don't like changing the rules. You know I am a purist at heart. I don't like changing.
You're a strict constitutionalist. I'm aware.
Yeah. Oh, no, not that. No, I am not Anthony Scalia. But I am a person that I don't like changing rules for the sake of changing rules. There has to be a legitimate reason to do that. And if you're going to petition to get those 6 games taken away this year, the 6-game rule taken away this year, there are no rules that are comforting, that are safe. And I don't like that. I like keeping standardization, even if unfortunately, it screws Ohio State this year.
Yeah, I don't think there's a right answer. My gut would be, if this was my world and I was running in
it is your world. We all just live in it.
Yeah. Then Maryland would be in the CFP. So let's be honest here. If it was my world, I would probably let them in, but expand the playoff to 8 teams.
That'll never happen this year. That will you won't get more games this year. No, I'm just saying that is an unrealistic expectation for. I know you said before you could do one or the other. You would do one or the other. So.
Well, I've always wanted 8 teams anyway. I think 4 is silly.
I know that, but this is not the year to put 8 teams in. That's 8 more chances of having a cancellation. That's definitely not happening. You're not This is
think
not
it is.
professional football. This is not professional baseball.
The question is this. I'm going to Ohio State's schedule. So bear with me. So they're 5-0. They haven't been really tested other than Indiana, I don't believe. But I just want to see who they've beaten because I don't remember off the top of my head. They beat Rutgers. They beat Penn State, who's horrendous. They beat Nebraska, who's horrendous. They beat Michigan State, who's horrendous. So they've had 3 games canceled: Maryland, Illinois, and Michigan. Obviously, Maryland was going to beat them. But, so, I'm glad you like that one. I'm glad I knew you.
No. I'm just saying that you could see humor in COVID. Like, you developed a sense of humor for COVID. Congratulations.
It'll go away in about 4 or 5 months. Don't worry.
Yeah.
My wife usually tells me how unfunny I am. I guess it's just because I'm tall. I think that's the only really saving grace I have at this point. And I can put up with her Michigas. But, I mean, it's God damn it. I went back to Warwick. I went back to the 2014 team that beat us. Eli Manning and Nick Sanchez.
So, all right. So, if let's say Ohio State's not in it, right? And I have not followed college football very much this year, even less than I normally do. And that
you're not too high on it normally. So,
well, going 1-10 doesn't exactly help matters. So the fact is,
I've gone 1-10 over the years.
So who are the 4 teams? Because college football's over, right? I mean,
no, there's games this week.
There's one more week?
Games this week.
Because everything started late. So there's one more game, one more week?
So, okay, Alabama's a gimme. Notre Dame, I believe Notre Dame's a gimme whether they win or lose in the ACC title game against Clemson, assuming they don't lose 15.
Right, because they already beat Clemson.
Exactly. I assume Clemson is in if they beat Notre Dame, because, let's be honest, Clemson has 1 loss in double overtime on the road without their Heisman-winning quarterback. So then what are you realistically looking at? You're looking, there's nobody in the Pac-10. There's nobody in the Big Ten. Forgetting Ohio State for the moment. Because as of now, there is no 6th game. There is nobody in the Big Ten. There's nobody in the Big 12.
Yep.
You're looking, and here's where it gets really screwy. So there's 3 teams that you're realistically looking at. 2 in the SEC and the University of Cincinnati. That's what you're really looking at right now. And
it's a screwy year. Let's bring in Cincinnati.
I'm fine with it because here I would actually bring in Cincinnati. And here's why. Number one, A&M. Nobody is impressed with A&M. They have one big win. They beat Florida. I'm pulling up their A&M is number 5 right now. They're 7-1. I'm pulling up. They beat Florida 41-38. If I remember, I think that was the score. They haven't looked great. They lost Alabama by 28. Everyone's losing Alabama this year. Alabama is winning the national title. But they really haven't beaten, other than Florida, they haven't beaten a ranked team. So, and they haven't looked overly impressive. They beat Vanderbilt by 5. They beat, LSU by 13, but LSU was horrendous this year. They beat Arkansas by 11, like nothing earth-shattering. Florida is, I believe, 7-1 as well. And so here's the question. Florida doesn't go to its conference championship because Florida is in the same conference as Alabama, I believe.
Generally the way that works.
Yeah. So, yeah. Florida's in the same one as Georgia. Florida's against that. That makes more sense. So Florida goes to the ACC, because the SEC title game, loses to Alabama. Florida has 2 losses. They win, they're in.
And they lose, they're out.
They lose, they're out. So the question is, do you want a second Texas A&M team?
Nope.
Nobody is really that impressed. As I said, nobody is overly impressed with this team. This has kind of been said all along. And I'm going to pull up what Cincy's done this year. I'm just pulling it up as we speak. Cincy is 8-0. They have 200 more points for than against. They've let up 120 points in 8 games. They've been impressive. They beat Army when they were ranked. They beat SMU when they were ranked. They every game they have won, except for Central Florida, has been by at least 14 points. In only one of them was with only really 2 games were within 20. I would, but they are playing an ACC. They are playing a title game. I don't know who against. I assume Tulsa, who is 6-1. So, if they win the AAC title game, I would not be surprised if at 9-0 they go over an A&M team that nobody really wants to see there. It's kind of like a bunch of these years with the college football playoff. You've had that team that you really didn't think was good enough to be there, but they had to go because they would never take a smaller team.
Generally, the name is Oklahoma.
Generally, the name is Oklahoma, but Oklahoma is not winning the Big Ten regular season.
I'm just saying that is generally the name of that team. It's Oklahoma.
But Oklahoma's had more legit. Michigan State won one year.
Oh yeah, with Bobby Williams, right?
No, Bobby Williams. Where did you pull that from? Bobby Williams hasn't been there in years. Mark D'Antoni was the coach for 10 years or 15 years till he left. But good call on that. That's in between Saban and D'Antonio. But there have been a lot of games. Georgia is another one. Oklahoma, yeah, where Notre Dame has been a couple of times where the fourth team is that it's a Power 5 conference, but they're just not good enough. And if I don't think a team is good enough, I would rather see a smaller school who I don't think there's only been one small school I've ever thought could have won a national title. And that was TCU years ago when they had Andy Dalton. They beat Wisconsin in the Rose Bowl. I thought they were the best team in the country that year. But they didn't make it because of the whole weird TCU Boise State thing. And I think it was so. I would take Cincy. I have no hesitation, no compunction about it. A&M would not be within 20 of any of these teams. I don't know if Cincy would, but I'd rather give them the shot.
Yeah, no, So we have one more week, and then next week we will find out who's playing in the bowl games, because whatever that means. How many bowl games
were played?
Right. Well, that was going to be my next question. How many? Normally there are 54 bowl games.
40 something, I think.
Okay, between 45 and 55. Yeah. There's a lot of bowl games. I'm not sure there are a lot of teams that can do that.
There's some that are going to be canceled. I know the Sun Bowl is canceled this year. I'm sure there'll be others. But some of them border on ridiculous. I was actually looking at this today. They were doing predictions for bowl games. Penn State was in a bowl game. Penn State's like 2-5. You used to have a minimum of a 500 record.
All right, so Bahamas Bowl, the Hawaii Bowl are both canceled. The Red Box Bowl was canceled in July. I didn't even know there was
a Red Box Bowl.
I didn't even know there was a Red Box Bowl, but there is. So that has been canceled. I don't even know where the Red Box Bowl is. That makes it even more interesting.
No, that makes it less interesting, actually.
I love this one. The Tropical Smoothie Cafe Frisco Bowl. Like, I'm just looking at interesting names for bowls now. So you have the roofclaim.com Boca Raton Bowl, the RL Carriers New Orleans Bowl. I'm going to look for other ones. Hold on. The Union Home Mortgage Gasparilla Bowl, the Cure Bowl. That may be the most popular one this year. The Cure Bowl. The Cure Bowl. I think this is the old CarQuest Bowl because it's at Camping World Stadium. So I think this was CarQuest, Blockbuster, then became the Camping World Bowl, and now is the Cure Bowl, C-U-R-E. I like that one. The Servo First Responder Bowl.
Oh, come on. This is good stuff. We make fun of this every year. This is great stuff. Maryland, I got them on ESPN now. Maryland Duke's Mayo Bowl.
That's what I was just on, the Duke's Mayo Bowl. I was like, this one's fantastic. Why Duke does not play in the Duke's Mayo Bowl? They're not.
Duke is like 0-6.
The trans.
Daniel Jones is not walking. Daniel Jones is not walking through that door. Grant Hill is not walking through that door.
Trans Perfect Music City Bowl. Tickets.
The Music City Bowl.
Tickets Smarter Birmingham Bowl. I think that was the one with Bobby Boucher. Thank you very much. I'm here all week. The Tax Slayer game
Bowl has been there forever. But
okay, this is where I got caught. There's a title I'm on 247sports.com called Canceled Bowl Games. I thought that was a bowl game. I was about to say the canceled bowl game. I'm like,
Syracuse must be so proud of the education they gave you.
All right. So the canceled bowl games are the Bahama Bowl, the Celebration Bowl, which is in Atlanta, Georgia, the Fenway Bowl, which was going to be in Boston.
Where that one is.
The Las Vegas Bowl, where's that going to be? The Los Angeles Bowl. These are getting real original names. The Hawaii Bowl.
Only the Tiger Sun Bowl.
Hawaii Bowl, the Holiday Bowl, the Pinstripe Bowl, the Quick Lane Bowl, the Red Box Bowl, and the Sun Bowl are all canceled. What is surprising about all of that? Nothing, because they're all in California, Michigan, New York,
or the Northeast,
or Texas. I mean, I don't know.
Pinstripe Bowl is New York City.
Right. So I'm saying they're all in blue states except for Texas. So surprisingly, they canceled all these bowl games.
Since we acknowledge that there's a virus here.
Right, exactly.
Believe me, I didn't sit in the car for an hour and a half today for the love of the game. But yeah, it's going to be. Look, it's just getting through this year for college football. I mean, everyone thinks it's going to be. I don't know what everyone thinks. I don't know what Ohio State. I don't know how Ohio State plays out. If they allow Ohio State in with 5 games, then Ohio State's going to be the 4th team. If not, then everything is wide open for that 4th spot.
Okay, so let's switch gears here. The Baseball Hall of Fame announced their ballot a couple of weeks ago.
Okay.
Every year we go through these. Yep. Every year we see who we would induct, and the difference this year, more than any other, is there's
no Harold Baines.
Well, that's number one, but there's also really no slam dunk first year players. So it is an opportunity for writers who can only vote for 10 people if they have not been voting for people to catch up. So give me a yay or a nay here on these guys. Curt Schilling.
Yay.
Clemens.
What'd you say?
Clemens. Roger Clemens. You know who's coming next.
Look, if I vote for Clemens, I got to vote for Bonds.
You do. So Schilling, Clemens, and Bonds are all in their last year of eligibility. Schilling ended last year with a 70%. He's going to get it.
Can we stop
Clemens and
talking?
Bonds? Maybe, except for his speech. Although that may be virtual, so that'd be better. Then you can press mute.
I don't believe this is real. So maybe he can go.
Then you got Clemens and Bonds, both in their 9th year. They have not moved very. What's that?
I think they're in by default. There's nobody.
No, I don't think you're going to see many people voting.
That could be.
Those guys, Clemens and Bonds, if you haven't voted for them yet, you're not going to vote for them this year because you have a spot on your ballot.
Well, I think a lot of people are going to say we made our point. Let's go through it. Yeah, look, they're the best pitcher and catcher of our pitcher and player of our lifetime. I look through this list. I'll usually you read it to me. Let me go back to you on this. Would you vote for Schilling?
Unfortunately, yes. Schilling was one of my favorite players when he was playing, and yeah. Schilling's
One of your
yes.
least favorite human beings afterwards. I got you.
Yeah. Schilling made me a Phillies fan. As a Mets fan, Schilling made me a Philly fan. Okay, continue on.
Clemens.
No.
Bonds.
Nope.
Omar Vizquel.
Nope.
Scott Rowland.
Yes.
You would vote for him, or you think he'll get in?
No, I would vote for. You asked me who I would vote for. Yes.
Billy Wagner.
No.
Sheffield.
He's the hardest one for me.
That doesn't answer the question.
If I take the same concepts that I do for Bonds and Clemens, then he's a no.
Todd Helton.
No.
Manny Ramirez.
Definitely not.
If you're not voting for the other ones, you can't.
Cannot.
Jeff Kent.
Yes.
Really?
Kent won
Yes,
an
we had this discussion before. He's like your modern day Tim Raines, Brooke Blyleven. Jeff Kent is your modern day one for you.
No, I think Scott Rowland's my modern day one for me.
No, I actually think Rowland, not this year, will get in. I don't think Jeff Kent, I think, is there may be a big groundswell for him, although I'm not quite sure. Andrew Jones.
Understanding that Kent's in his 8th year, he gets a groundswell from 27.5. It better damn well come quick.
True. Andrew Jones
is a no. Although Andrew Jones very hard for me, but I'll still say no. Sosa's a no. Pettit's a no.
And Abreu's a no. There's no way Abreu's a yes.
Abreu should get more consideration. But he's going to fall off the ballot.
Yeah,
Abreu was a tremendous player.
He was. The reality is, if you're going to vote for one of them, I guess I would actually change my mind on whether I would vote, because if I'm going to vote for Clemens and Bonds, then I can't really have an argument against voting for Ramirez, voting for Sosa, or voting for Pettit. Maybe Pettit I can argue against that he wasn't good.
Or
I can't see an all-in proposition. So
if you're voting for Clemens and Bonds, you have to say yes, in my opinion, to Sheffield, Ramirez. I don't think Sosa's a Hall of Famer. I just don't. I think he was a one-trick pony. He's very much like Mark McGwire. I don't think
except he has an MVP and 160 more home runs.
He doesn't have 160 more home runs.
How many did McGwire retire with? 500 and change?
I think it was 583.
Okay. Then I'm wrong. Sosa retired with around 650 or 660, I think. He was right around the Willie Mays number.
609.
That was that little?
No, 609. Yeah, so he's got 25 more home runs. That doesn't matter to me. That doesn't do it. Now, he does have a better batting average, 273 compared to, I believe it was like 260. But Sosa's a one-trick pony.
Yeah. I mean, look.
Sosa.
I guess, okay, so you said who you would vote. Who do you think gets in? Is there anyone but Schilling?
The only other one that has a chance for me to get in would be Omar Vizquel. I think that would be awful.
Omar Vizquel is not a Hall of Fame player.
What Omar Vizquel has, Omar Vizquel has going for him is 2,877 hits. That's a lot of damn hits. But he has an OPS of 688, which is garbage. He is an OPS plus. Now, OPS plus 100 is an average player. He is an 82, which means that's below average. His WAR is 45.6. Now, look, these are all objective stats, right? You're going to say he gets in because of the Ozzie Smith rule, right? Because he was so good on the base paths and he was so good as a fielder. Well, keep in mind, 45.6. Ozzie Smith's WAR, I wonder what it was 76.9. So 45.6 versus 76.9. There's no comparison between Ozzie Smith and
Ozzie Smith was a 300 hitter Ozzie Smith stole bases, and again, I think Vizquel did as well. Ozzie Smith hit one of the biggest clutch home runs in the history of Major League Baseball that no one remembers in 1980. I want to say it was 85 against the Dodgers. And Ozzie Smith
No, but
is
we
the
all
greatest.
remember Jack Buck's call. Touch him
Remember a lot
all.
of Jack Buck. Touch them all out, yeah. And Ozzie Smith is the greatest defensive shortstop of our lifetime. Omar Vizquel was very good, but you know my feelings on Hall of Fame. Hall of Fame is Hall of Great. I hate Schilling, but Schilling was a great pitcher. If we're not including the steroids, there's no one else. I don't think there's anyone else in this group. I mean, the best player to me outside of this group is either Rowland or Helton, who are good players.
Yep.
But in the weakness of third baseman in the Hall of Fame may get Rowland in. Plus, he played on a crappy team forever, so no one really. It's hard to gauge. But it's not a strong class. Believe me,
here's
I'm
a
not
better
going
one for you.
to watch a Kurt Schilling speech.
Hold on, but here's a better question for you. Does Ozzie Smith get in your Hall of Fame?
Yeah, because he was the best shortstop in the National League for 10 years. I like the best of a. He was the second best behind Ripken in the league. I have to look at his stats. I don't know. I'm just doing off the top. My gut would be yes, but I'm also usually harsher on. I have a higher bar for Hall of Fame than typically you do. So I understand why you asked me that question. What'd you say?
I know that.
Yeah.
I want to look up. So I think he's the third best shortstop of that generation. So obviously you have Ripken. What people don't remember is that Robin Yap played shortstop, and Robin Yap was
just as much as he played shortstop. So I have him as an outfielder. I understand the point, but I would have him as I don't even remember who the best shortstop was in the National League before him. Was it Gary Templeton? I honestly don't remember. Or was it?
He traded for Gary Templeton.
Who?
Ozzie was traded for Gary
Temp? Yeah, one of the more brilliant trades by the Padres. Between that and the Roberto Alomar, which was an awesome trade, to be fair, on everybody. Very rarely do you have four players, and they're all really, really good. But who was the best National League shortstop prior to Ozzie Smith? Was it Dave Concepcion? I really don't remember.
No.
Really? Who was the All-Star shortstop before?
You're looking.
I can't hear you. I can't hear you. Your microphone is going.
Okay, because I'm not talking.
You're always talking.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yeah, it's just a little crankly.
So you're talking about early 70s.
Or mid 70s.
Talking early 70s, right? Yeah, I mean, your guess is probably Dave Concepcion or not Buddy.
Okay, I'm looking.
I'm trying to think. There weren't
the top-ranked shortstops of the 70s: Toby Harrah, Mark Belanger, who's a good defense, no bat, Davey Concepcion, Larry Boa, Rick Burleson, Don Kessinger. I don't even know who the hell Don Kessinger is. This is a nothing list.
Well, remember, shortstop was a different position before Cal Ripken, right? A much different position before Cal Ripken.
Which is why, though, I think Ripken was overrated because I lived in D.C. He's a great player and is a deserved Hall of Famer. And Ozzie, is the best National League shortstop since I don't even know. So,
all right, we got 5 minutes left. So would you like to go? Or
Did you see what happened? Yeah, I'll start. Did you see what happened in the Champions League today?
No.
I know you're not a soccer guy. They stopped one of the games in the Champions League because the player accused the referee of racism.
Wow.
The ref made a comment during the PSG Istanbul game, and they stopped the game 15 minutes in. Good for them.
Wait, so the ref actually did say something racist?
Yes. Or said something. I don't know the exacts because this literally happened as we went on the air. The game was stopped. The game was stopped 15 minutes in, and at least one of the teams needed a win or at least a tie, I think, to make the next round.
Yeah.
So props to both teams for really having the balls, pardon my French, to do this. I don't know how it'll play out, but all the credit in the world for doing it.
So we said two things before. We said having the balls to do something, and we just started talking about players in the 1970s. Well, one guy that had the balls to say stuff in the 1970s and was an MVP passed away this year, and unfortunately should be in the Hall of Fame, and that's Dick Allen. Dick Allen was the best hitter in the 1970s. Like, the best hitter. And the reason he's not in the Hall of Fame, and the reason he was not in the Hall of Fame, is because he was an outspoken guy in the 1970s in Philadelphia. And he was black.
I was going to say, yeah.
And look, listen to this. He had the fifth most home runs from 1964 to 1974. Who was he behind? Hank Aaron, Harmon Killebrew, Willie Stargell, and Willie McCovey. Those four guys, Hall of Fame. His 940 OPS was second to Henry Aaron. Henry Allen, Hammer and Hank, you know the guy. Hammer and Hank's OPS, 941. Dick Allen's, 940 during that time period. He won an MVP. He batted .292 with 351 home runs.
Did he win an MVP?
Yeah, 1970. He won an MVP in Philadelphia. No, sorry, in Chicago. He won the MVP in Chicago. Yeah, he was the AL MVP in 1972.
Yep.
The reason why this man is not in the Hall of Fame is because he's black. And because he came up in a time where black people did not speak, and he spoke. And his number this past year was retired by the Phillies, his number 15. He's coming up again in the Veterans Committee this year for Hall of Fame. This reminds me so much of Ron Santo. It's sick that he's going to be elected the year after he passes away. That's
you know how many votes he missed by?
I believe it was one.
One.
That's garbage. That's absolute garbage. Baseball and the Baseball Hall of Fame writers, Seth, I know you're a small Hall of Fame guy. It doesn't matter. The Hall of Fame's big, right? You may be a small guy. It's a big place. This guy should have been in the Hall of Fame a long damn time ago. And
well, look, we now have thresholds.
Yeah, it's called Harold Baines.
Or Harold Baines.
Oh, all right. With that, we'll see you next week. We'll talk a little bit more about the college football and college football.
We'll see if we can find James Harden wherever he may be.
Wherever he may be, he'll probably wind up in Brooklyn, and Brooklyn will give away about 9 draft picks.
Dude, Billy King's not walking through that door.
That's Seth. I'm Sean. We'll see you guys next week. Have a good week, everybody.